Welcome everybody to our regular town council meeting. It's August 25th, 5 p.m. And we will have a call to order. Sarah, not Judy.
Thank you. Councilmember Commendatori?
Here.
Vice Mayor Klostad?
Here.
Mayor Pallavi?
Here.
Councilmember Abrams?
Here.
And Councilmember Tierman?
Here. Great. If everybody would rise, and let's do the Pledge of Allegiance in honor of all the firefighters on the front lines, all of our medical workers, and really everybody just kind of putting their lives out there. So little Pledge of Allegiance with council. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Great. We'll move into item number 4, public comment, opportunity for members of the public to address the council on items which are not on tonight's agenda. You can text or email, you can email comments to truckee@townoftruckee.com. You can text or leave us a voicemail at 530-428-6555. Sarah, do we have any voice comments?
No public comment.
No public comment. We all have received other comments, and is there a council comment? Nice haircut.
Yes, there is a council comment. Thank you very much for noticing. Yeah, I shared the Truckee Litter Efforts presentation with a number of people and got some really fantastic feedback. And I think we all are well aware of how engaged our community is on that topic. So I would just like to put it out there because I would like to see that brought back as an agendized item and give our community the opportunity to watch the presentation and provide comment.
Great. Thank you. Yep. Councilmember Tierman?
Yeah, Mayor, I actually support that idea. I think we saw that presentation and the good work of staff and all the good work that's being done during our budget workshop, and I don't think we had the wide audience that we typically have during a council meeting. So I think it would be very good to showcase what we're doing and then also talk about more that we can be doing, some of the ideas that came out of our discussion during the budget workshop. So support that.
Great. Any other? Okay.
I agree.
Cool. So if it's okay with you guys, I'll work with Dan on that to see when we have some agenda timing. I know sooner rather than later is clearly obvious, but I do know we have also some meaty topics coming up. So maybe if you guys will entrust that to us to find a time that when we have a not such a meaty agenda, we'll try to bring that back. And then also, I don't know if there's a desire, but also just looking around council, there was a letter that was distributed to us via public comment. I think there was some good things in there. I think there was some other items also brought up and didn't know what council's opinion on. So the only action that would be taken is we could ask our acting town manager, Dan, to craft potentially a reply to that if we think that's a good idea. So mostly looking around, and if everybody would like to see a reply to that letter, it would obviously come to council first. Dan would be able to manage that process.
Yeah, I think what I would say, because there was a couple of letters that we received just on general public comment.
Right. I'm specifically referring to Ms. Haynes' letter is one that I was specifically referring to.
Yeah, there was that one, and there was another one. If council's comfortable with it, I could craft a response to both of those letters. It'll probably be, the letters raise major policy issues.
Absolutely.
That are would be subject of huge amounts of community debate. My intent would not be to get into that policy conversation, but recognize that the letters have been received, make sure that the commenters are aware that the council has received that input as well as a lot of the other input that you've received. So I could craft a response and then I could CC it to council if you prefer.
Are you speaking also with Mr. Renfro's letter? Is that the other one?
Yeah.
Okay, great.
I would just like to make sure that we are providing the opportunity to share with our community what is in our sandbox and what is not, because that's one of the things that I think we're all very cautious about and getting entrapped into going back and forth with our community when they see something as our responsibility and we don't have the authority to take action on that. And I think fire is one of the perfect examples that was brought up in that letter. So I think that is really important to make sure that we are not just doing that to the people that are emailing us, but to the community in general. And I know you have plans to provide some additional public outreach on these issues. So if you wouldn't mind just briefing us on that.
Sure. Your communications team, Deborah Yakuf, Judy, Bron Roberts, police chief, finance director, community development director. There's a lot of people involved with trying to get this information out. I have been working on some public information pieces on what is in place for wildfire evacuation planning that's been developing for 4 or 5 years. One of the comments in one of the letters that you received is a commenter couldn't believe that wildfire evacuation wasn't on the council agenda for discussion tonight. I would offer it'd be completely ridiculous if we started our wildfire evacuation planning when we first saw smoke in the sky last week. That's work that's been going on for decades and much more intensely over the last 2 to 3 years, as an example. So, and the same with, litter abatement, same with, speeding enforcement. Those are all topics that the town's been engaged with for a long period of time. What we haven't necessarily been putting a lot of effort into is kind of marketing that out to the community on a broadcast basis. It's more on a, hey, what's going on with speeding on this street, and then a response kind of a thing. So the communications team is working on kind of more of a push notification type of communication strategy on some of those topics that we have a lot of interest in, with the hopeful goal of providing that information to a much broader cross-section of the community than, as Councilmember Klostad pointed out, just the folks we're getting emails from. So that's work that's actively underway, and I think Randy's staff put did some videos on some of those topics today, and that'll be coming out over the course of the next week.
Yeah, and I think our communications team is just so new that we're trying to figure out the best utilization of it. So I think that's a really great start.
We are constantly learning.
Yeah, Tony, you wanted to mention something quickly?
I don't think it's something that needs to necessarily come back to council. I think it's more important for them just to take it, run with it. It's what they do. And then if there's a policy or decision, that's a different issue.
Yep.
So
Great. All right. Cool. We're going to go back to public comment because we got a few public comments in that little time frame. So
I apologize.
That's okay. Go ahead.
I
Take
was
it away.
looking at the text messages, and there are 2 voicemails.
Go for it.
Okay.
Hi, this is Colin West, just calling in for the public comment period. Wanting to provide just some input and opinion on how, while we do appreciate the communication of existing programs from the town of Truckee and what resources are available now, that is great to know. However, just as these resources have been available and have been around, the litter issues that everyone has seen in Truckee and the basin this summer have also been around for quite some time. And so I think having an agenda item in your following meeting would be my recommendation, and hopefully that of the community would like to see that, so that we can talk about these issues that have been there this summer and at other times that the current programs haven't been taken care of, and maybe these current programs could be increased, such as further pickups, or it might be the other programs that are needed to address these issues that also exist despite the current programs. So again, thank you for addressing the communication and resources that are available. I'd love to see an agenda item so that you guys can talk about that in the meeting, and also we can talk about the issues that exist concurrently and how to address those and get public opinion and thoughts on what those issues are and the best course of action so that as council members, you can all represent the public's best interest. Thank you. That's all.
Thank you. And I didn't catch his first name, but, oh, that was Colin. Got it. Thank you.
My name is Mary Hetherington, and I'm calling in regard to industrial use for the GPAC meeting this afternoon. Regarding the general plan update, I have these.
Apparently that's not for this meeting.
Yeah. Was there a GPAC meeting this afternoon? Oh, Thursday. Great.
That's it.
Perfect. Great. Any further public comment? This side's good.
I do have
You got
one.
one more? Okay.
I would like to-
Keep
So
going.
I had a great conversation with Chief Billingsley this afternoon, and I just want to utilize an analogy that we talked about. And I think our public completely has a realistic expectation of the fact that we have speeding laws and most people comply, and we have a system set up to manage that and to provide guidance for our community that chooses to speed. But the community does not have expectation of 100% compliance of that. I don't think anybody in the United States expects to never see anybody speeding, right? And so I just want to set that same expectation for mask wearing, litter, and the other issues that we're addressing. I think we're actually doing really well in our community on a lot of issues. But there seems to be this expectation that we should have 100% compliance. And I just don't think that's realistic. And I just want to put that out there to the community that we are doing really well. We're going to continue all of our efforts to encourage mask wearing. We're going to expand our efforts on litter. We're already talking about that. Chief Billingsley is responding to the speeding issues and providing some additional enforcement there. So we are being responsive. It's just 100% compliance is not going to really happen. And then the only other thing I'd like to say is I think it is really helpful to have occasional updates on these items and issues that come forward. And however the council wants to see that, I'm in support. I just feel like our community has a lot of questions and a lot of concerns, and to let them spin and spin on email is not really satisfying anybody. Certainly not satisfying us when we get 80 emails to deal with.
Yeah. Great. Thank you. And I think, we've had some conversations about that. We'll continue to figure out sort of the best path forward on that. We have more public comment. Okay. That's okay. That's fine. Go ahead, Sarah. And thank you, Anna. We will bring that back.
Public comment, I believe these all came from Matt Miller. They're broken up, so pardon my stumbling a little bit. How does this business get boats from office across street to the water every time? How many times per day is predicted? Is alcohol allowed on boat? How is boat driver trained? How will this project interfere with fishing? Matt Miller. Please add, how do they propose to get rid of trash from boats? Thanks. Why does Dan Wilkins encourage tourism in the downtown corridor but does not want more often trash pickup? And one last addition is more tourism equals more trash. Matt Miller.
Those all just came in because that sounds like a planning commission agenda item from last month or something, maybe, but.
Oh, well.
Maybe. Just.
They weren't there prior to me starting
Cool.
public comment.
Okay.
So.
All good. Thank you, Matt. Thank you for all that. Okay. Can we close public comment?
Yes.
That was a very disjointed public comment. My apologies, but we got through it. Thank you. Public comment is now closed. We will move on to item 5.1. We've got some new staff. Nikki, you're up. Sorry. You're up first.
Honorable Mayor and council members, we're really excited to present our new senior accountant, Regina Weiss. She's sitting back in the corner back here. And we're so lucky to bring her on as our new senior accountant. She started 2 weeks ago. She was already introduced to our budget through the budget workshop, as you guys may have seen her there at the meeting. And Regina comes to us with more than 20 years of accounting experience, including 7 years at the Truckee Donner Public Utility District. And she also worked with many of the ski resorts in the area, so she's very familiar with Truckee issues and Truckee governmental issues, and we're really excited for all the experience that she brings. Regina lives in the California side of Verdi with her husband, children, and dog, and she was a champion water skier and still enjoys skiing when she gets the chance. And we're just really excited to bring somebody on with all the wealth of knowledge and experience that she has. So welcome, Regina.
Welcome, Regina. Do you barefoot water ski too? It's really hard.
Not for 10 years.
Ah, okay. Great. Wow. Welcome. Thank you. And Chief Billingsley.
The police department would like to welcome Brittany Johansson. She's a new records assistant for us, and she started in May of 2020. This is our first opportunity to get her up here. I don't think she's here today, but she has a bachelor's degree in English from St. Mary's College, and she lives in Incline Village. Her hobbies and interests are kayaking, hiking, and anything outdoors, exclamation point. We're lucky to have her. She's been a fantastic addition to our office. She's one of our faces that you'll see when you come to the police department counter, and she's extremely professional, and we love her. Our other new add-on is Michael Bratt, who started about a week ago. He's a new police officer, and he currently resides in Verdi, Nevada, and he was with the Alameda County Sheriff's Department for 14 years prior to coming here. He worked in corrections and also in the courts there, and he's also a veteran of the United States Army, where he served 4.5 years. We're lucky to have him as well.
Awesome. Welcome to Brittany and Michael. Thank you so much. Great additions to the police department team. 5.2, and if we'll do comments. If we have comments after 5.2, we can go through that after 5.2, and then any comments on 5.1 while we're here, other than welcome. Great. Let's move on to 5.2. Yumi.
Good evening, council members. We'll be talking today about the 2019 CDD, the Community Development Department Annual Report, and we do this annually. We did not do it in 2018, so we're getting back on track. We did put the 2018 CDD Annual Report in your packet today so that we can catch up and have a full record in our system. But today I will only be talking about 2019. So the purpose of this report is, first, it's a state requirement. We're required to report on our progress to the Office of Planning and Research to the state. And then, more importantly, it's to help us keep track of our progress with general plan implementation, housing element implementation, and then generally our growth and development as a community. And then, even more importantly, it's to inform the community and our decision makers, you, on where we are and where we're going. So to give you a little background, we look at our demographics of our community, well, our population of our community, and the Department of Finance estimated as of January 1st, 2019, we had approximately 16,136 people in the town, which was actually a decrease from the prior year. We've also identified that there's 13,400 housing units as of January 1st, 2019, and that's primarily based off of the town's records where we report to the state and then they report back to us. A little bit convoluted. And The Department of Finance identified that we have a vacancy rate of 50.8%. So that's primarily the number we use to identify how many second homes we have in our community. That's consistent with 2018, and it's in stark contrast to the rest of the state and the county, which is the state is 7.4% and Nevada County is 21%. And our persons per household has remained relatively steady at 2.5. So we're going to look mostly at development today, and we'll focus on residential development right now. And based off of the 2020 estimates, so that's building records for January 1, 2019 to December 31st, 2019. So as of January 1st, 2020, we had approximately 13,485 housing units, which translates to 16,242 people in our community. And that'll likely get adjusted with the Department of Finance updates next year. That's based off of 82 single-family residential permits that were finalized, 4 ADUs that were finalized, and then 2 single-family residential demolitions. As noted, no large residential projects were completed last year, and that's to note. Coburn Crossing was actually finished, but it was in 2020. Right now, the town has 304 residential units under construction, so that's actually physically under construction or have not yet reached build-out. So that includes the Artist Lofts, Sutter's Trail and Old Greenwood, Coburn Crossing. Like I said, it actually received final early 2020. Pioneer Commerce Center, their residential buildings are under construction. Spring Creek is under construction. Boulders, Palisades Townhomes, and Grocery Outlet has 3 units within their building. Additionally, there's approximately 259 residential units approved. So they have land use approvals, but have not yet started construction as of 2020. Frishman Hollow 2 is actually under construction and was approved. Coldstream Commons is also under construction. The Village at Gray's Crossing is approved, and then there's Coldstream's single-family residential is also under construction. So the general plan estimates build-out of residential units, which is the based on the development of land at its full potential as permitted under current zoning regulations. So the general plan estimates that approximately, if we built out our current zoning, we'd have 20,000 dwelling units, and that population would translate to 28,000 people. So obviously, in 2025, that would be a huge jump to get to that population. So obviously, we're going to have to adjust that with our new general plan. But right now, based off of the build-out number for dwelling units, we've identified that as of January 1, 2020, we have 67.8%. We've met the 67.8% build out. If you included both all completed, approved, and under construction residential units, we'd be at 70.6%, which I have updated. There was a little error in your report. And as for non-residential development, much like residential development, we didn't have any new projects that were completed in 2019, but that will change significantly in 2020. So our floor areas for non-residential remains the same from last year. And non-residential projects under construction, we have approximately 270,000 square feet that's under construction. So that includes the Marriott Spring Hill Suites, the Pioneer Commerce Center Gym, the town's public service garages, Rayleigh's and their Soaring Ranch buildings, the Rock Building F, Grocery Outlet, Artist Lofts, and Truckee Tahoe Lumber Company right here on Soaring Way. So obviously a lot of buildings there's a lot of activity. And then for non-residential projects approved, we have 209,000 square feet approved. So that includes Old Trestle on West River Street, the Village at Gray's Crossing, High Altitude Fitness, which recently broke ground, the Rail Yard Theater, and then Pioneer Industrial Park. So the non-residential build-out, the general plan has identified or estimated it to be at 5 million square feet. And right now, as of January 1st, we're at 77.2% of that build out. So that's approximately 3.9 million square feet. If you included the completed, under construction, and approved, we'd be at 86.3% of that build out. And just of note, under construction jumped from 1.7% last year to 5.5%. So that's a pretty big jump historically. So moving forward, the Planning Division or the Community Development Department is seeing a steady single-family residential construction. That's kind of been the case in our community. We're seeing an increased interest, ongoing interest in multifamily residential projects and affordable housing projects, and an increased interest in applications for non-residential development. As you know, we're undergoing the general plan update and the downtown specific plan update, so that's going to take up a lot of our attention in the coming year. We're working on housing programs, including the ADU pilot program. We're looking at climate adaptation plans and sustainability programs. And because of all of these items, we're expecting a lot of public outreach in the near future. Additionally, for the housing element, we adopted a new one in August 2019, as you may recall. And as part of that, we hired a housing program manager. As I stated, we're launching an ADU pilot program. We've created a rental assistance program as part of the COVID emergency assistance. We have started the SB2 rezone process, so we've hired a consultant who's helping us look at potential residential sites for increased density. We're working on development code updates. We participate actively in the Mountain Housing Council, and we have worked on streamlining affordable housing projects and putting projects in the ground. And as for general plan implementation, the town is working on a lot of streetscape improvements, including Envision DPR, the Rail Yard, West River Street, Coldstream Road, Stockrest Springs, and Reimagine Bridge Street. We are working continuously on historic preservation, working on our historic design review, and our ongoing Mills Act to help our homeowners preserve their historic homes. We're working on green building programs. Last year, the Building Division did a building energy efficiency workshop to help builders and contractors in the area get up to speed with the new 2019 codes. And we are trying to implement climate action plans, programs that'll help assist these green building programs. And as you know, we adopted the Public Art Master Plan, which was one item that was lingering within our general plan. So that's continuing. And our Economic Development Department is working continuously on Open Counter, supporting our T-bid, funding the Welcome Center, and then launching our Cultural District. Oop, that's backwards. And then we're working with other agencies to look at ways to create the Truckee Library and look at ways to assist other agencies with their corporation yards and then we adopted a vehicle miles traveled program as required by the state and to help with greenhouse gas emissions. And then as always, we continuously work on our Trails and Bikeways Master Plan and implementing that. And right now the main focus, I believe, is the Legacy Trail Phase 4. So that's all I have for the annual report presentation, but I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Yumi. That was pretty exciting. I like it. Really great stuff. And yeah, we might as well, just because all of these three presentations are pretty diverse, and we'll probably best to tackle each one on its own. Maybe starting, Councilmember Tierman, any questions or comments on that?
No, I don't have any questions, just comments, observations in listening to Yumi. Appreciated the presentation. I mean, I think it just underscores how unique of a community we are. I think we've all known that. You think about the state average of 7% second homes, and we're over 50%. I mean, that's very unique. And then just seeing the myriad of different kinds of projects, residential, commercial, retail, things happening in our town within the recent past year and things that are on the boards, that too underscores how vibrant and healthy an economy we have here. And I think, there's a lot of concern we hear about growth, concerns, from a lot of people who have been here a long time, concerns about losing our small town flavor. And I think the real challenge for us going forward and looking at all these projects is how we manage that growth. And it has to be done in a very measured, careful, thoughtful way. And I feel like with our general plan process that we're on, we've got a group of community stakeholders involved in that process. I think we're on a path to helping to ensure that growth is managed. Growth is inevitable. It's not something that we can necessarily stop per se, but I think we can help guide it. And when you look at the caliber of these projects, the architectural character, what's being built in our town, there's a lot of really good, high-quality work. So I appreciate the update, and am excited for our future.
Well said. Thank you. Councilmember Abrams.
Thank you. I don't know that I have anything to add to that. I think that was very, very well said. Thank you so much, Yumi. It is always nice to see at once really everything that's been done. So and also it's well known, but it's always kind of catches the attention to reiterate how interesting it is and how unique we are that having 7% of homes in California, second homeowners are vacant, and over 50% here really does highlight that we are a different type of community. So thank you. I appreciate it.
Councilmember Commendatory, anything?
I don't really have anything to add to either of those two comments because you both said it very well, David, particularly. Thank you. But it is, I will say, just from an observation of being here long enough to see all these types of projects become from ideas over time to, is it happening, is it not happening? 2008-9, everything slows down to all of a sudden, bam, and you can understand why there's a lot of people who are having a little heartburn and upset and scared because it is a lot of change, but it's exciting change. It is different, and I think, David, you're absolutely correct. Change happens. We have to embrace it. We can't stop it. We just have to control it and do it the way we want it. So I think it also kind of plays into, if you look at from the whole COVID picture, and you see these things happening and anxiety of just change happening on its own and adding more people and using that same 50% of second homeowners who are probably, half those people are probably living in their houses right now. It gives you perspective to understand why we're feeling what we're feeling as a community. So it's just, I'm not really sure what value I just said adds to anything, except that it's another perspective.
Thank you. Vice Mayor Klostad.
I think that's an important perspective to bring. Councilmember Commendatory, thank you for the presentation. It's great information. And what this says to me is we did experience a slowdown over the recession, and then there was a period of time where clearly a lot of work was done by town staff to develop and help permit and approve all of these projects that we are now suddenly seeing pretty much so all at once. And I just want to thank staff for all of their diligence and commitment to making these things happen and come to fruition.
Yeah, great. Thank you, Yumi and Danielle and Jenna and the rest of the community development team. Appreciate the report.
Yeah, just one quick follow-up.
Yes, Dan.
Comment,
Please.
Dave.
Yeah.
I'd just really like to thank Yumi, Danielle, and the whole community development team. They're the ones charged with implementing your development code, which is a very hard job. You've got people with exciting ideas in the development community that come forward, want to add their projects to our community, and it's really these guys' job to be the gatekeepers of the community and of the community's design standards. And without their willingness to be unpopular from time to time, and their willingness to really take those design standards and our development code seriously, you wouldn't see the quality that you're seeing up there. So, I think of all of the town staff, their jobs are the most challenging. Police department's right up there too in terms of some of the issues they get to deal with. But from a kind of a an emotional standpoint as an individual, when you're sometimes being viewed as the obstacle to progress by the clients that you're working with, because you're trying to look out for the community's interest, that's the role that your planning staff find themselves in routinely, and they take that role seriously. So I just wanted to kind of put that out there, because I think it oftentimes goes unrecognized, and I think it's more likely that you as a council will, if you're receiving input on how they're doing their job, it may be from a standpoint of things aren't moving as quickly as I would like, or they're being too harsh. But they're not doing it because they enjoy being in those sometimes challenging situations. They're doing it because they care about the community and care about implementing the community's values as they're doing that. So I just don't want that to go unrecognized.
Yeah, thanks. I think that's a really important observation that, we probably up until COVID, that was always what we heard the most about, right? And so it is a really tough job, and we appreciate all that you guys do put out there.
Yeah, and I was going to add, before Dan said it probably a little better than I could have, but also we do also need to give these people who had a vision behind to persevere and push through and put a lot of money in their own dreams that they had there. So this is it's a partnership between private industry and town, that these things are happening. It's not just the town, and it's not just them. It's the combination of them together, working together and persevering and having their view and their vision, and coming to an end, or they get the finished product. So, because those people are just as important as everyone sitting in this room as well to make these kind of things happen. So don't want to forget them.
Yeah, absolutely not. Great. Thank you very much. That brings item 5.2 to a close. Item 5.3 is coming from Judy, I assume. We have a 2020 general election update. Oh, did I have to? No, I can open public comment on all the presentations. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor and council members. I wanted to take this opportunity after the candidate filing period closed for the state of California, as well as other jurisdictions throughout the nation. We have a number of special districts in the town of Truckee here locally that have races, and some that will not have races in November 2020. So of those, the Truckee Tahoe Unified School District, Unified School District, the Tahoe Forest Hospital District, Truckee Fire, and the Truckee Sanitary District will all appoint candidates, the same number of candidates as positions, and will appoint in lieu of an election, as well as Donner Summit PUD. So the jurisdictions that will have races on the November ballot are the Truckee Donner Park and Rec District, and they'll have 2 four-year seats available, and they have 3 candidates running for those 2 seats. We have the Airport District, who have 3 four-year terms up and 5 separate candidates running for those seats. We have the Truckee Donner Public Utility District, and they have 3 seats, and they have 5 candidates. The town of Truckee by far has the largest number of candidates running for the jurisdiction. We have a single 2-year seat that has 2 candidates, and we have 7 candidates running for 2 seats. So a little similar to 2 years ago when we had 7 running for 3 seats. We have 7 now running for the 2 four-year seats. So it'll be a really interesting and lively candidate season. So the forum that is put on by Tahoe Truckee Media, Contractors Association of Truckee Tahoe, the Truckee Chamber, and a few others will take place September 9th and 10th. The 9th will be council candidates, and the 10th will be some of the other district candidates that you heard a little earlier. And then we'll do a candidates orientation for all of the candidates, getting to meet all of the town leadership on the 10th of September as well, to give them a little orientation on what town can and can't do. as Mayor Klostad said, what's in our wheelhouse. So that's my brief report. If you have questions, I'm here to answer them.
Great. Thank you, Judy. And I do believe potentially Measure K will also be September 10th at the Candidates Forum as well. Potentially. Maybe. Great. Any questions on any of that? No. Cool. Let's open public comment on all three presentations. Any public comment?
There's no public comment.
Closing public comment. Thank you all of, welcome to all the new staff. Thank you for all of those great updates and presentations. We very much appreciate it. Moving on to our consent calendar, we have four items on consent. We have minutes from our July 28th meeting. We have a treasurer's report for the quarter ended June 30th. We have a very substantial Truckee River Legacy Trial Phase 4A grant application. I think it's a grant application, right? Yes. And then item 6.4, easement abandonment on Coburn Drive. With an easement abandonment. Anybody goes on. Any council member would like to pull any consent item? Any staff pulling consent tonight? Any public pulling consent tonight? Negative. With that, how about Councilmember Abrams? We have a motion for consent.
I move that we accept the consent calendar.
A second.
And all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? No. Consent carries. Thank you very much. And our single discussion item for the evening, item 7.1, is now not going to happen. The appellant withdrew their appeal, so item 7.1 is not necessary at this point. And we will move straight into council reports, starting. Who wants to start? Anyone? Councilmember Tierman, you want to start?
Sure. Okay, so I attended several workshops virtually. First one, August 12th, was put on by the American Institute of Architects. Seminar on equity, the economy, the environment, and public health. So it was a very, very interesting day of learning through the AIA, American Institute of Architects. August 13th, we had our budget workshop here with all of you. And then the 20th, our COVID, I participated in the our weekly COVID discussion, public health update. And then today, earlier today, was the annual Lake Tahoe Summit, the 24th annual summit, the first time ever held virtually, featured the two senators from our state, including Kamala Harris, and our governor, Nevada governor, the senators from Nevada, congressmen. It was very, very well done. So that was earlier today. That's my report.
Great. Thank you. Councilmember Abrams.
I also attended the budget workshop last week. COVID briefings, I think I missed this past one, but the one before. Yesterday I went, Yumi showed me around the lot for the Donner Lake 6, which was a lovely afternoon, which we no longer have to consider. So that's it.
Councilmember Commendatore.
Yeah, it was a pretty quick week, went by fast. Our COVID calls, our budget workshop, that was pretty much it for the week. It seemed like it felt really full, but I'm not really sure why I don't have more, because I know I worked a lot, so.
All right, same for me. I also did Measure K meeting. Now we have a letter, very exciting, and a bit of outreach for that. I hosted a Truckee Springs virtual happy hour, which was really fun to educate some people about the acquisition of Truckee Springs. And I had a LAFCO meeting last week, and then a LAFCO commissioner training session, which was actually incredibly educational. So it was a good week.
Great. I participated. We had our chamber contract meeting. Jessica, you attended that one. We met with a couple represented. Jessica and I met with a couple representatives from the chamber. Yeah, a couple representatives from the chamber board to discuss their contract renewal. I also attended that same day the chamber board meeting and provided a number of updates on a whole bunch of stuff that we have going on. I've met with a couple council candidates, met with Rick Stevens, got an update from him as to the airport's kind of happenings and what's going on over there, and joined a presentation on the Jaboom Street project to see sort of their updated design and some of their plans for moving forward. And that is pretty much what I was up to the past couple of weeks. With that, we pulled all of our items. Everything is done, so we will adjourn. We have a couple of meetings next week. On Wednesday, we have a closed session, and then Thursday, we will resume our budget hearings. And then, we will then adjourn to our next council meeting in 2 weeks from now on September 8th, it looks like. So a lot of work going on the next couple of weeks, so thank you all very much, and we are adjourned. Thank you.